rest of them to trigger to 8.
Actually, I looked at that. I do have 2002, or actually it's 402 on my one that's supposed to be correct. So we'll take that as a go. Actually, I looked at that. I do have 2002. Wait a minute. Why do I hear myself? Hold on, everybody. One that's supposed to be There's too many of me here. Take that as a go. Actually, I looked at that. I do have. Why do I hear myself? Hold on, everybody. One that's supposed to be. There's like 3 of me now. Hang on a second here. Take that as a go. Actually,
they're multiplying. You
often, Why do I hear myself? Hold on, everybody. One that's supposed to be. There's like 3 of me now. Hang on a second here. Take that as a go.
Get a hold of yourself.
He's got clones.
You have to find out where that window opens.
Get a hold of yourself.
God, let's hope that doesn't happen to Bozo.
You have to find out where that window opens.
Get a hold of yourself.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to make enough chocolate chip cookies. They'd be gone in one bite if you had clones of those.
You have to find out where that window opens.
Get a hold of yourself.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to make enough chocolate chip cookies. They'd be gone in one bite if you had clones of those.
You have to find out where that window opens. Like I'm in some time loop here or something.
They're growing.
Like I'm in some time loop here or something.
They're growing.
Like I'm in some time loop here or something.
Don't go to sleep.
They're growing.
Go towards the light.
Don't go to sleep.
Go towards the light.
So they were literal when they said echo link?
Go towards the light.
Yeah, this is the wrong time of echo link.
Out of control.
Echo link?
Yeah, this is the wrong time of echo link. This is supposed to be the April Fool's show.
Just reach back behind your desk there and just start pulling wires.
No, it's not that one. No, it's not that one.
Technical difficulties, I assume?
No, it's not that one. Well, the thing is, if I don't fix this, we'll have everyone checking in all night. Well, the thing is, if I don't fix this, we'll have everyone checking in all night.
Everybody times 50.
Well, the thing is, if I don't fix this, we'll have everyone checking in all night.
50
Everybody
ladies. Oh,
times
no.
50.
Well, the thing is, this is like one of those bad dream nightmares that you have.
50 ladies.
Does it always happen right on the fuel tank in?
This is like one of those bad dream
Yeah, the
nightmares.
people got
This is Brian, WB2JIX.
Kick back and wait on it.
Fuel tank in?
This is like one of those bad dream
Yeah, the
nightmares.
people got
This is Brian, WB2JIX.
Kick back and wait on it.
305, trying to get out there. This is Brian, WB2JIX.
I've heard of Skip, but this is ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this is one of those things. What we have is not a failure to communicate.
Would
that be a failure to over-communicate?
That would be an overwhelming scenario.
All right, I think I found the offending culprit.
Testing.
Let me see if the jingle singers are working. All right, they're okay. They'll get us started here.
Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you, wherever you are. For music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
the station for you is
OTR.
And what you want to do is just stick to radio only. And forget the internet. Forget any mode, and you will be okay. I think it's happening here. The Old Tube Radio Network. Real radio is glowing in the dark, and more. Hello to oldtuberadio.net. It is now safe to approach your Universal Media Net web device. There should only be one Old Tube Radio emanating from your speaker, and hello to those who are out at the video side. And it is safe to return into the radio room. Starting with the directed net roll call of your Old Tube Radio Network in our 34th, 35th year. Anyway, it's been a long time that we've been doing this here at 27085 Channel 11. Listening for, talking about, and talking with the glow-in-the-dark tube radios of the Class D Citizen Radio Service. Or radio collectors are out there tonight forming them up, and after the roll call, we'll be talking with them tonight, finding out what radios they have chosen from their collections to buy with us tonight. So I hope you can stay tuned for that. Top of the page, let me go to the SWL chart here. We find our 00, chosen from those with perfect attendance from the last 8 weeks. And if you're still with us, Jim up in Coarse Gold, I'm not sure what the weather is like there, but we're calling for 00.
00, checking in. Yes, kind of chilly up here.
Yeah, it got cold again. Snow level might actually drop down a little bit. We will see. It's raining here in the valley. You are sounding good, and we will get you checked in when page 4 shows up.
Yes, sir.
Assuming I don't break anything else. SWL number 1, who is wherever he is laughing his you-know-what off. How about SWL number 2, who is over on the video side? Hello, OBP. And I'm looking... I'm going to have to scroll up to get it. I'm looking for your report. Daylight savings time, I almost forgot about that, but the Nixie Tubes told me that I should be setting, we should all be setting our clocks, whether they're on the Hammerland HQ 105 TR or elsewhere, ahead an hour, maybe after the program tonight. One sunspot rotated into view, so we're at 11. I think if you get one sunspot, 11 shows up on the dial, on the sunspot dial. So maybe there will be some conditions. Thanks, Kevin. SWL number 3, I will get Rob checked in from, and saw him Thursday at the bowling alley. How about SWL 4? And what do we want for the video? Probably something that's not me. Let's try, you know what, go to the S meter. The analog S meter or the Orban. They will try the S meter for a while so they can give themselves a radio check as they come in. How about SWL 5? I will check in SWL 5. That's Ida Mama Rose. I saw her earlier this week. SWL 6. SWL 7.
Good evening to one and all from SWL number 7.
Sounding good. I'm having more static tonight than usual, so I'm not sure if that's the rain or not. Hopefully you are semi-static free. I know it can get kind of nasty over there. Thanks for checking in.
And thank you.
Email check-ins for 11 and 12, Jim and Lisa, over to SWL 13. And and I will endeavor to refresh the big board because I know a lot of you who cannot check in at 27085 sometimes have the ability to check in at oldtubradio.net, which is a good thing to do. SWL 14. SWL 15. SWL 16. SWL 17. Shortwave listener 18. SWL 19. Shortwave listener 20.
Number 20 here. Please check in number 29 also.
All right, sounding good. You were actually in the Radio Shack waiting the call. Radio sounds good. We'll probably talk about it a little bit later when we start glowing in the dark, and I will make sure I get to 29 at the appropriate time. And over to SWL 21. Featuring tonight his Browning Golden Eagle Mark IV. Looking and sounding good. That's why you need the longest ground rod. Let's see, how do you put it? The world's longest ground rod, to make sure that all those multiple radios work and sound nice. Thanks for Old Radio Night, Mr. JT, and we got you checked in. The Wasima Swamp Superstation is off to a good start. How about SWL 22? SWL 23? SWL 24? Shortwave listener 25? Over to page 2, SWL 27. And sounding good doing it. Thanks, Wayne. Got you checked in, KB6GFD. From the crossband on the FM side, SWL 27, Dwayne checking in. So let me get that marked in. I've been thinking about redoing the roll call pages, and if I do, it's very possible I could rearrange things enough that people would be on different pages. I don't know how that would work in throwing people off that actually play the home game and turn the pages. So we'll see. I'll have to give that some thought. Don't want to throw anybody off here. I want to go over to the video side. OBP is online. Anybody want to talk to Kevin there? DD21, SWL 21's listening in. The mighty KUH, hello, Brian, is also listening in on the video side. From New York, where the big AM radio stations play. Just tune into 3890, 3880 in your 75-meter bands. Hello, Smarty. Thanks for listening in. TB40 Ford from the Bluegrass State, standing by. 665 KBG. Also from Northeast Georgia, Butterbean, who makes the rounds. I saw him over on the old Radio Night side, as many of you are. We are on page 2, looking for SWL 29. No, we're not. We're going to check in 29, as per the proxy request. So that will take us over to SWL 31. Let me go over and check, see if we have any stations from Hendersonville, Tennessee. Up near the top tonight. Up there in the high-altitude seats. Robert and Teresa, thank you for checking in here to a rainy Central California. Over to SWL 32. SWL 33, myself and Bozo Control. I will not blame the shenanigans of the beginning of the net on Bozo Control. It was actually something of my own doing. So they're off the hook. Jingle Singers are ready tonight. It looks like they've got all the Heil microphones set up in the Studio B tonight, ready to do what they do best. Let's head over to SWL 34. SWL 35, I did notice that we have a check-in from Cheyenne, Wyoming, I thought. I'm looking in. Yeah, Bill has been in there about 20 minutes ago. Checking in from Cheyenne. Hello, Bill. We miss you out here. We really do. Miss you in the shop, although you do have it on wheels out there. I hope all is going well. And the snow shovel is not getting too much work out there. Over to SWL 36. SWL 37.
SWL 37 here. Good evening, Dennis.
Good evening, Christopher 37 on the big radio tonight. I should say the radio with all the knobs. You're sounding good, and we've got you checked in.
Yes, it does have a lot of knobs, a lot of switches, and a lot of buttons.
Looks like you've got them all in a row for Old Tube Radio. Checking in with us, JW, Juliet Whiskey's waving a hand from the corn patch. Starting to thaw out. They're in Zero Land, KJG 4755. Hello, John. Glad to hear that the temperature is starting to behave. Let's try SWL 38. SWL 39. SWL 40.
SWL 40 checking in, and I'd like to remind everybody of the Clovis Amateur Radio Personnel Swap Meet coming up in 2 weeks on the 23rd. The location will be at the same spot as the estate sale of Ron Hunt. It's going to be at Olive and DeWolf Avenues on March 23rd.
Coming up a couple of weeks. I guess they changed that because it wasn't there previously. Was it a church or something? But apparently they've got some more of Ron's estate to be sold, and maybe it's easier to not move it. So we'll keep up on that. I guess we have another weekend to go before that happens. So I know you picked up some items of interest from the first go-around, so hopefully you left something for everybody.
I left the more expensive radios over there. There's still a couple of nice radios and lots of stuff. And then, of course, the regular swap meet sales are going to be going on, too. So it's going to be lots and lots of stuff.
All right, pick up something for your station. Might be some old radios there, old tube radios. You just never know. Thanks, Larry. Hope the the atmospheric river that often visits the Radio Shack there is not doing its thing. Thanks for checking in. Let's try SWL 41. SWL 42.
Good evening, Dennis, and the rest of everybody. 42, 90, and 137 checking in.
All right, we will get them all. The radio sounds awesome. We'll probably talk more about it when we start glowing in the dark in about 15 minutes, when we start doing radio check-ins after the roll call. Thanks for checking in. SWL 43. SWL 44 is in. Checking in from his secret location in Utah, and probably get a weather report, see what's happening out that way. I think if this storm is anything, we're definitely going to be sending you some snow up there. Thanks for listening in. SWL 45.
You sounded pretty good. It must be over the cold. 45.
Well, it's like in stage 3. So I'm in the aftermath. The voice is coming back. We'll see if it'll last for 2 hours tonight or not. And of course, we'll lose an hour of time. So what I'll try to do is get all the radios to check in so I don't have to talk so much. You're sounding great. We'll get an update when we start checking radios, find out what you're on. Sounds good. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you.
SWL 46. From an earlier conversation, SWL47 checking in on the crossband, he mentioned that they're adding some video into the Radio Shack tonight. I think there is a big movie. It's big movie night in the SWL47 radio room. So he said it's possible if the intermission happens on time and no one stays overtime for a double header, that we might hear him on the radio. But in the meantime, we do have him checked in. Over to SWL48. All right, good to hear you. I was just about ready to check all the various media sources here, as you often check in that way, but it's good to hear you on the RFAM zone. Sam, Mr. KP, checking in. Thank you, sir. And a good signal. Tonight here on the Old Tube Radio Network. 27085, Channel 11 is where we're at. If you're listening at oldtuberadio.net, point your beams to Central California and hope for some E-skip. Yeah, we've got a sunspot pointing towards the Earth. I think OBP said the number's up at 11. I don't think that's going to help us right now, though. How about SWL49? And 49, Brian checked in last week. He'll be on oldtuberadio.net. Keep an eye out for him. Was there a breaking station? OTR is listening. Yeah, let's get 92 checked in. I'll do that. You never know when the conditions are going to change, Chuck. SWL 92 from Madera, sounding good here tonight at the Old Tube Radio Network. 92 is checked in. Over. Let's see, where are we at? Let's try SWL 50. Might be having some wild weather up there. SWL 51.
51 checking in.
And now that there's only one of me at the microphone, it's a lot easier to do this roll call thing. SWL 51. Hello, Dave. Thanks for checking in from somewhere near Sangertown. SWL 52. SWL 53. We'll go to page 4. I'm going to get SWL 54 checked in. Larry, as we heard last week, had the misfortune of receiving massive amounts of electricity in the form of nature's worst lightning into the shack. He's doing some reconstructing, no doubt. And Robert, I didn't see your post there about being in the Twilight Zone. Yes, we started out with the tube version, and it's on videotape, as you will. It's on the YouTube, I suppose, as we had the Twilight tube version of the Old Tube Radio Network, times about 17 going on there. Let's try up where I bet it could be snowing, SWL 55.
55 checking in. It's really light at 7,000, just got down the hill.
Okay, I checked in. Temperatures are pretty cold up there. I think I checked in last night on something, and it was 17 or 16, so it is definitely weather to be inside.
Yeah, it's chilly. Thanks, Dennis.
All right. They can put up with it up there. You know how us flatlanders are down here in central Fresno. It's when it's 55 degrees, we're in trouble. At 17, it's like, yeah, it's cold. What the heck? Thanks, M&M. Over to SWL 56.
Good evening, Dennis and the net. 56, just for kicks.
Thank you, Phil. You are sounding good as always. With an X in the square, meaning you are checked in. Over to SWL 57. SWL 58.
58, saying hello to everybody from the back 40 in Biola. And I also need to check in my neighbor, number 82. He's out on the ditch banks fishing for some carp. Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah, he's got the inflatable dinghy out in the ditch banks. So, sounding great tonight, Jeremy. Nice audio, and we will get Mr. Ron also checked in at the appropriate time. So, the Ditch Banks high and low of Biola into the Old Tube Radio tonight, and everywhere else, beaming across the universe at oldtuberadio.net. If you are listening there, or could be listening there, let's try SWL. I turned my page before I needed to. SWL 59. SWL 60.
Thank you much, there, Dennis. This evening, well, let's say evening time to all the fellas, too, at the same time, but this evening we'll be checking in on 457, the old Navajo, keeping the old circuit board in working condition. SWL 60 checking in.
And sounding good doing it. And I've got somewhere, there's a 457 around here. I should see if I can make it to Net Control Station sometime. Should work good. It's a nice radio. In the day, it was a nice radio. It still sounds good. Thanks, Joe, for checking in. SWL 60. Let's head over to SWL 61.
61 checking in, Dennis.
Right on cue. You and your neighbor 62, as they say, on time and on frequency. Thanks, Dean, here at the Old Tube Radio Network. Let's try beautiful downtown Clovis, SWL 62.
Evening time, Dennis. This is 62 on time, and the frequency is about 0850.
That's what I'm showing, 0850. I might have a plus or minus added in there. I think I checked in with the guys with those big radios like Dennis and Ed, and I found out where my frequency actually is, so that's where I put Net Control, because the Net Control is supposed to be right on, just like yourself. I should use you as a frequency standard as well. Lucky Lindy. Thanks, Rex. SWL 63. Bubba and all our stations out of New York. Who's listening? Is anybody listening in from New York tonight? I know there is. Brooklyn and who else is on? Somebody on the video there helping us out with the East Coast stations tonight. Who else? Anybody checking the video site? Anybody new? Not yet, but we should have some stuff. Anyway, 63 is in. Let's try Jack, SWL 64. And with Smarty, that's who our New York station is. How could I forget that? Let's try SWL 65.
65 checking in.
Looking good on the S meter, sounding good on the audio. SWL 65. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Well, now that I figured out how to do it, it's going to be a great evening. I'm expecting. I've got the Tube Radio list waiting for those Tube Radio check-ins. Everybody probably wants to check in early tonight because we lose that hour somewhere. Somewhere tonight. SWL 66. SWL 67. SWL 68. Looking for Thomas out in Texas. We have been missing Thomas here the last couple of weeks. He hails from Texas area, from Frisco, Texas, to be exact. Let's try SWL 69.
69, Dennis.
Sounded good, Kenny. SWL 69 at the microphone, checking in at Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks. SWL 70.
Hello, Dennis. How you doing, man? Hey, I don't know if I'm going to hear you when I unkey. I'll listen to the replay. One of my neighbors around here is just bleeding like crazy. I think he's on 38. Anyhow, how you doing? 70 checking in. Over.
Yeah, you sound great. 10 over. S9 and good audio. So if I'm making it through the splatter, okay. If not, then you can do the replay check-in at any time. Maybe you're listening and it's 2021. If so, hello. Hello from the past. Got you checked in. Over to SWL 71. Stan, representing Dallas, Georgia this evening. And I do think he is out there, yes. Mr. Microphone. Mr. Announcer holding the microphone says, hello, radio. Checking in out of Dallas, GA. Where are you on the... Oh, you're right there. You're right in the center row. I'm going to try this. If you click on the QTH, it's supposed to bring up the location. Here we go. Quick facts. Dallas is a city in and the county seat of Paulding County, Georgia, United States. The estimated population as of 2010. Yeah, we're going to do that census coming up. But we've got to do the 2010. 2010 was 12,629. Dallas is a northwestern suburb of Atlanta, approximately 30 miles from downtown. So there you go. That's the skinny on 71. We've got you checked in. How about SWL 72? SWL 73? SWL 74? SWL 75? SWL 77?
Good evening, Dennis. 77 on the Tower of Power. On the backup transmitter, the 570D, and 73 is to all the listeners.
All right. Sounds like all systems are backing up there. Big signal. And there's something funky in the audio, but I do hear you. We've got you checked in. I was in the tower this afternoon where it was high and dry, and everybody was having a good time, including me. I was taking the trash out. That's what I do when I'm in the Tower District sometimes. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you.
SWL 78? SWL 79? Shortwave listener 80. And we're going to switch pages here. Last page. For those listening in, we will be having some tube radio check-ins coming up in about 10 minutes here. Maybe less. Your favorite radios, we hope. On the old Tube Radio Network, that's what we do here on Saturday evenings. Thanks to our radio collectors. SWL 81. A check-in from the ditch banks for SWL 82, Mr. Bones. SWL 84. SWL 85.
From the Tulare County Range, Dennis, 85 checking in.
From the big town of Reedley. Sounding good here. Down in the hole in Midtown, Fresno. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Dennis.
SWL 86. SWL 87. Boy, it sounds like someone's trying to come in on a crossband here. SWL 88. SWL 89. SWL 90 checked in. SWL 92 checked in. Boy, that is just a lot of noise on the crossband. If anybody copies that at the relay, if it's for us here at OTR. SWL 93. Shortwave listener 98. So what is that, Larry? Somebody in the wrong mode, huh? And Jeff, if you're out there driving around, I hope you're staying safe. SWL 103. Shortwave listener 109. SWL 110. I think I heard him earlier. He's going to give it a try, maybe. SWL 111.
111 checking in, Dennis. It's good to hear you for a change.
Yeah, you're showing up on the S meter and sounding nice, like the old days. Everything old is new again. Everything new is old again. I'm not sure. Robert from the AM voice. I always like to say this. Now I can. The AM voice of Reedley. Thank you, Robert. All the way from Reedley Town. That's a good hop when your antenna is very low. Because it ain't too close to Fresno. Let's try SWL 113. SWL 114.
114, checking in.
Loud as always, Wayne. SWL 114. We will get you checked in for what is today? The 9th day of March 2019. Thanks. Who was that? Over?
Break OTR.
Oh, that's Mr. Darren. OSX? Something like that. KB6GFD. I got you checked in. Over. All right, he must not be hearing me. We will get 89 checked in. Thanks for the relay. KB6GFD. And there was a braking station. Over.
Yeah, Dennis, just checking to see if that cleared up.
Yeah, I think so. I was relaying a crossband check-in for SWL 89. Take another transmission. Over.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Over.
Oh yeah, much better. Over.
Yeah. It helps if you put the VFO where it belongs. Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, and thank you. That's why we're here. We can check a radio, check any radio. That's what the old Tube Radio Network does best, is help you with your radio, whatever it might be. Direct net roll call. The Tube radios are coming up in just a moment here. 114 is checked in. Let's go ahead over to our... Oh, now I hear Darren. There we go. Now we hear him over there. SWL 128. That is John Lee. You'll probably hear me in the background if you're listening. Darren, I don't see 128. I will peruse the oldtuberadio.net archives in case John Lee is out there. How about SWL 131? SWL 133.
Good evening, Dennis. 133 is checking in.
SWL 133 out there in the northwest of Fresno. Sounding good, Dave. Thanks for checking in. And whatever you did, I hear you now. 89. Thanks there. KB6GFD. C4, because we like you. MOUSE. All right. Well, I hear you on the regular FM mode. KB6GFD. That's something I've got to study up. The new C4 FM mode. That is all the rage. All the new radios. VHF, UHF, handy-talkie radios. Let's try a station that probably doesn't have C4 FM just yet on all his radios. SWL 135. In fact, he might not even have AM tonight. We've got a check-in for SWL 137. And let's see if Tony is around tonight. SWL 145.
Yeah, we're here, Dennis. Thank you. 145 checking in.
Checking in from, well, it could be kind of a wet and rainy Coarsegold. It is down here in Fresno for sure.
Yeah, it was drizzling out there about 20 minutes ago, but I've been out there recently.
That's a good thing. Stay near inside or under cover where it's nice and not wet. Thanks, Tony, for checking in.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis.
That takes us up to, let's see, full circle here. The guy that got us started off as 00, SWL 195.
95, checking in, Dennis.
Good from Coarsegold. One more time. And you know what? I did skip. Thanks, Jim. I skipped our station from Kakalaki. Neil, if you're if you're waving your hands in front of the Universal Media Net web device, I see you. SWL 147. Who is checking in, by the way? The weather is cold and rainy, as it is here in Central California. Only propagation consisting of a glimpse of Trinidad and Jamaica earlier in the week. Well, take heart. Our sunspotter, our sunspot spotter, SWL number 2, has noticed that there is one spot rotating into view, giving us 11 on the numbers. So maybe we'll get more of that Trinidad and Jamaica. In the heart of the Carolina Sandhills. And he's out. Thank you, Neil, for the Kakalaki report. How about SWL 226? And anyone I missed or who would like to check in now, OTR's listening. Hey, I know that voice. The break OTR, go ahead. And 650 coming down on the raindrops tonight. Good signaling tonight. No problem being heard here in the Flatlands and all over the universe at oldtuberadio.net. Hope you're staying dry. That's the way to do it. Thanks for trogging through the puddles and not falling down and giving us a shout here at the Old Tube Radio Network, 650. Yeah, let's see. The week's almost over. We're supposed to set the clocks back. That means it's going to be dark in the morning again, right? It was just starting to have purpose to get up early. It's like, oh, okay, the sun's out and the birds are chirping. Now we'll have that extra. It's like, oh, man. All right, I'm going to, you know what I'm going to do? What I should have done all along here was get ready for the tube radio. So give me a minute or two, getting everything set up. And when I return, your favorite part of the Old Tube Radio Network is the Old Tube Radios. Back in a moment. Hello, everybody. The Old Tube Radio Network back in the air chair and ready to check in some of those glow-in-the-dark radios. I want to say hello to, before we get started here, SWL 49. You were there, Brian? I missed you during the roll call, but I am looking in the proper direction now. And we will get you checked in, SWL 49. Snowing like crazy in Wisconsin, he says. It can do that. Brian checked in. I don't think he ever had that problem when he was living in Fresno. Thanks, Brian. And who else is out there? The Ohio contingent. Steve and Bob, Steve in Westchester, Bob in Oxford, the Bob and Steve Show. They were checking out the Jingle Singers in the green room. In fact, the Jingle Singers should be lining up in front of all the Heil microphones, which they are. And before we go too far here, get too involved, let's head over to Studio B, where the Jingle Singers will say something like this.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, for music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR.
And Steve says the Jingle Singers have promised to call them out there in Ohio at 2 a.m. to help them reset their clocks, or to remind them to reset their clocks, which is interesting. They call me at 2 a.m. every evening. Every morning they call me at 2 a.m., and they don't remind me to do anything. They just like to call at 2 a.m., so it looks like they have a purpose for calling you out there. Let's see, what are we going to do? We're going to take radio checks, and I wanted to acknowledge our stations listening in at oldtuberadio.net. Hello to lots of stations in California, South Carolina, of course, Washington, Georgia, Colorado. We've got New York, Kentucky, Tennessee. Always got Tennessee. North Carolina, Maryland, Pennsylvania, the unknown SWL. Those are the stations wearing the paper bags over their heads. Hello to Pennsylvania. And Lawrence, Kansas. That's probably Frodex out there in Lawrence in charge of the Nixie tubes, where they set early tonight. I think the Nixie tubes are on like universal coordinated time. But they did set ahead. They did spring forward, which everybody is supposed to do. I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to say, this is the Old Tube Radio Network. We're listening for Radio 1.
Station
45.
All right, and we have our first radio 45. Hello, Paul. Step up into the radio area here as I try to get my pen to work, so I'll try that one. But before you take a transmission, let me grab one of our SWLs while they are out there. The station, the sandbagging station, go ahead, over.
Well, you know the sandbagging station. Might as well just check me in.
Well, I wanted to make it official. We have to hear the official check-in voice, or I guess be recognized by net control. That was in some of our bylaws long ago, and since you have done that, you have checked yourself in, and it sounded good. Thanks for the check-in, Louis.
10-4. Hey, can I be radio number 2 after 45?
You can be radio number 2 after 45, so don't go too far, and we will get your Old Tube Radio checked in. That sounds like a good thing. That's why we exist here at the Old Tube Radio Network, to check in as many of the Old Tube Radios as possible. So back to you in a moment, Louis. I am going to find wherever I put it. Here it is, the Old Tube Radio list. I'm going to sign in for March 9th of 2019. Can you believe it? We've been doing this for 34 years. Maybe 35. I don't know. I've lost track. I know we're doing it now. Hello, Paul. Over.
Hello, Dash. I want to check in my Demco satellite base station. That's the way it's written up on your web, so you can find a picture of it there. See if you can find it.
I'll see what I can find about it. And it has been a long time since we have had a Demco station of any kind. Sounds good. When you checked in to the roll call, I could tell your audio that it was something big going on, and I just didn't want to guess because I didn't know. And now that we have the picture, and it says it is your Demco satellite base station, photo from Paul, SWL45. It has its own table. It has its own probably 6 or 8 foot conference table to get that radio in there. Back to you.
Yeah, that's the only radio should let me put in a front room like that. It's kind of a pretty radio, so pretty good gal let me put any of it in there. But it's a beautiful radio. It's a 3-piecer, and it's 3 foot long, put together all the pieces. It's just a super radio. I'll let you carry on if you feel like it, and I'll carry on, whatever you want to do.
All right, well, I'm good at carrying on. Make sure that everything's set up correctly here. We've got a picture of the radio. We're going to hear your voice talking on that very radio. It's always nice when we have a photo of the radio. This was in the high class of almost $400 radios back in 1966, I think, when you had the biggest tram. At 66, it would have been the Golden Eagle. I think it would be the Golden Eagle. That might have been before the Eagle. That might have been just a year before the Golden Eagle, but that would have been up and around $400. So if you decided not to buy that used Chevy Nova, this is what you spent your money on. Give us a transmission and tell us a little bit about the radio.
Yeah, okay. Well, this thing has a total of 17 tubes in it. Of course, that's all 3 pieces. It's got 16 knobs and switches, 13 lights, and it's a 3-piece setup. And all those lights and all the things are set up are working well. Harvey went through it pretty heavily and did a beautiful job on it. So it's been a good one ever since. It was pretty sad before. Anyway, that's fantastic radio. 23 channel. It's got AMC radio. It has a crystal control transmitter, and the receiver is 23 channel crystal control. Plus, it has a 23 channel VFO. If you want to do it right now, I'm on all crystals, and it's very nice. I think I'm a KCI, but close enough. Back to you.
Well, we'll check that before you go. See what the frequency is at. But this is definitely a radio. This reminds me, if I was to step into a big rig, I'm not a truck driver, but if I was to step up, if I could even step up into the cab, this is sort of what would greet me, these knobs and dials and lights, and I would probably be lost. I would have to have a tutorial on how to get the radio probably to even turn on, and then to make sure that the transmitter was set up correctly and that I was even looking at the transmitter when I was supposed to be transmitting. A nice radio, really nice, built in. I think the modulator, like I said, built into the speaker case. What can I say? If someone is a fan of Demco's, I'm sure they look for this one. It says if you go to oldtuberadio.com, there is an operator's manual, so maybe I should do that and check in there and learn how to operate that if for some reason I should ever be sitting in front of the desk. Give us one more transmission. We've got a station standing by for Radio 2, but a good way to start us off here at the Old Tube Radio Network, the Demco Satellite Base Station from 1966. Good audio and good signal, and I'll give you I'll do the frequency check when the next time you come back. Over.
Okay, good. Non-amplified .5. I believe these radios came with it. I'm not sure. Doesn't have any markings on the mic, so I may be wrong. But it's what the radio likes. I tell you, it doesn't like the application. It's got enough. It's got plenty of application. All right, thanks again for checking it in, Dennis.
All right, I was actually chasing you a little bit on the dial. I think when you first key down, or is it key up? I always have that controversy. I think when you first key up, you're at 27,085 on the plus side, and then it moves down to almost right on frequency. So you're very close. When I was listening in, it was very close to frequency, but it looked like it was slowly moving down a little bit, but not a problem on the frequency wise. Radio 1, the Demco Satellite Base Station, really a nice sound. As you know, Paul, you can listen in on the archives. You can also watch the video replay to give yourself a radio check, and we hope you will do that. Thanks for checking in. Next is Radio 2 is Louis. Louis, if you would stand by one, I need to jump out of the air chair for just a second, and then I will be back, and you will be Radio 2, so don't go away. The Old Tube Radio Network, back in a moment.
Radio.
That sounds like 53 Bob out there in the distance.
Yeah, how you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing just fine there, doing just fine. You got Louie over here at this end.
Yeah, take one there, Louie. Yeah, I think I forgot all about the OTR. Did you have any OTR tonight?
Yeah, it's still running. It's still here. He just had to take a standby for a minute.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forgot all about it. I came in here and I said, oh my God, it's after 8, you know, so. Okay, I'll take a standby there, Louie. I hope you're doing okay. Don't get wet now, it's raining.
Oh, I'm trying to stay dry, you know. You gotta stand in between the raindrops. All righty, we'll be standing by.
Okay, Louie, I appreciate the comeback. You have a good one. Take care there, Louie.
Check.
Frank, let's go.
OTR.
OTR had to take a standby a minute. Standby.
All right, is it soup yet? Apologize for that. I had a couple of phonium calls that I had to make sure that I got to, and I did. And so we are back to the Old Tube Radio Network. And where we left off, I rewound the videotape, and Net Control was about to say, hello, SWL 93.
We had some people come back to OTR 53 Bob. He probably wants to do a check-in, so I'll take a standby if you want to do the roll call one more time. There was two of them. There was Bel Air, and then there was another break OTR. So I'll stand by if you want to take those OTR roll calls.
All right, Louis, that's very nice of you for being so patient. So I will bring up the SWL list. And who is out there? Net Control is back in the air chair. Are there stations that would like to get on the SWL roll call checking in? I'm listening.
24 checking in.
All right, Joseph, thanks for being patient. SWL 24 is checked in and noted.
53 checking in.
And we've got the greatest SWLs. They'll hang on for Net Control. 24 checked in on page 1 if you're playing the home game. If you are playing the home game, you go to the bottom of page 2, and we can say hello and check in Mr. Bel Air. Hello, Bob.
Hello, and thank you there, Louis. Yeah, I just thought OTR was all over with. I barely remember. I appreciate it there. You have a good one. Take care of that, Dennis.
All right, thank you for checking in. And Louis is a good Net Control. We have to get him a Net Control hat. Did quite nicely. We've got Radio 1 under our belt, the Demco satellite base station, and now at 9:06. Still Pacific Standard Time. We are not daylight savings time yet. We've got Louis, who is going to, and the Jingle Singers are saying they want to do the top of the hour thing, but they're going to have to wait, because we've got Mr. Sandbagger online with us now. Louis, tell us about your radio, over.
I definitely will do that. This is the Johnson Messenger 223, 23 AM with the big signal and the big speaker. No modulation light. Looks like a teardrop microphone. I'm not quite sure what the name of it is, and it probably's got maybe at least 7 or 8 or 9, maybe 11 tubes in it, and they're all glowing red.
Glowing tubes is a good thing. That usually means that the radio is on. Suppose you can wave your hand across the top, get some type of heat generated. Let me tell you if I have as many tubes. No, it doesn't say. I'm just looking at my chart to see if I could tell you how many tubes might be in there. Probably 9, 11, something like that. If anybody knows how many tubes are in the Messenger 2, that's the 223. They added 23 channels. I'm not sure if they added any tubes or not. They added an S meter and a lot of crystals. Big speaker. 1969 to 1972 is when that radio first came out, and here it is 2019, and it's still talking great. Give us another transmission.
I will definitely do that, and if you got your frequency counter going, can you kind of give me a ballpark figure of the frequency I'm running on this radio there, please?
I could do that. I have the poor man's frequency counter where I zero beat you on a fairly calibrated receiver. What does he mean? He zero beats me. Well, I listen to, when you're transmitting AM, you are also transmitting upper and lower sidebands. You're a double sideband AM. When you're on 38 with your radios, it cuts out the AM carrier and it cuts out one of the sidebands. But here on AM, everything goes. You're 6 kilohertz wide, lower sideband, upper sideband. So what I can do, this radio, when I either go to upper side or lower sideband, as you transmit AM, it will dial right into your frequency. So take a transmission.
I will definitely do that. And let's just say, I believe there's I'm counting like 9 so far that I can see through the mesh. So maybe there might be 2 more hidden through there. But other than that, that's what it is.
That's what it is, and it is what it is. Let me tell you something. What just happened rarely happens for any radio that comes into the Old Tube Radio Network. I punch the upper sideband or the lower sideband button on the receiver, and you didn't change at all. You are right exactly on the same frequency that I am, which is supposedly 27085. And I punched between upper and lower sideband. You have great audio, too. I don't know if the SWLs listening could even tell that I had changed from AM to sideband. That's how close that radio is. So don't touch a thing. You've warmed it up perfectly, and it's working great on double sideband AM. Over.
Thank you much. And I'll let you check in number 3, so I'll take standby and let it go.
Thanks, Louie. Always appreciate another Tube Radio on the list. The Old Tube Radio Network here to give you the opportunity, an excuse, if you will, to maybe head into the Radio Shack on a Saturday evening, break away from whatever's happening, fire up the Tube Radio, make sure it still works, which it does nicely, and then give us all here at oldtuberadio.net, whatever form, whether we're in the internet, on 27085, or at the video, a chance to hear a radio that was brand new over 45 years ago. Originally sold for $200. If you bought it with a microphone and there was a supplied Johnson desk microphone, you would add another $15, and there you would have it, the Messenger 223. The Jingle Singers are ready to do their thing, telling us that they missed the top of the hour break, but that's my fault. So here we go.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite spot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
The station for you, OTR. And JT, I totally forgot. I just looked at your comment about ringing the bell, the Demco bell. I was searching to see if I had the photo of that somewhere, and it's probably archived. I kept it on a separate little area because it was so hard to find the Demco bell, and I know you have it on your Facebook page. JT has from the Demco, what is it? Demco Radio Products Company, back from the 20s. So it was a manufacturer of broadcast AM shortwave radios, but they were under the Demco products, I think. And I think JT has cornered the market on the 3 or 2 or 3 bells that actually still exist from this company that in, was it 1928 or 29, had high hopes. They did a little research. They took out, what's a $250,000 loan to start this company and went, full bore. And then the Depression hit, and they were out of business in about a year of that. But the radios, no, I couldn't find a picture of any of the radios, but the bells still remain. And whenever we get a Demco any type of a Demco radio checking in, SWL 21 will pick up one or many of those bells and ring them profusely. I have to get some video of that. Maybe next time on the old radio night, you can ring the bell. Where are we going? Is there any other stations that would like to check in? Because we have plenty of time.
45.
All right, I hear 45. Stand by one, Paul. Who is the other breaking station? Why, I hear the radio key up, and then the audio drops way off. So if that's for OTR, try it again.
42 here.
42. Was that? That couldn't have been you. I mean, it was way down, unless you were on the wrong antenna or something.
No, we're good. So I'll take it last, I guess.
Yeah, okay. If you're going to be there for a second, hang on. I'm going to get Paul as Radio 3. I thought I was hearing another station, but maybe that's what was going on. So you will be Radio 4. So you've got a chance to jump up in the green room or finish up what you were doing, and then we will take you for Radio 4. But I do want to get SWL 45 for Radio 3. And yours is sounding great, so don't touch a thing. So thanks, Jerry. We'll be right back to you. Hello, Paul. Over.
Yeah, Dennis. I'm going to go from the big radio to the little radio. I'm going to check in my Sonar Model E.
That'll work. From the radio that takes up the entire table to one that's a little bit more conservative in the Radio Shack real estate. Bringing up my Sonar list and making sure that I heard you correctly, that we're looking for the Model E as in Echo. Over.
That's correct.
I've got a great picture of a Model E from SWL 135, and that's the one we will pull up into the queue here for our SWLs to take a look at. It also includes the cool sonar meter, but we'll focus right on the radio to begin with. Putting in a good signal and some good audio on what looks to be an 8-channel radio. Over to you.
Yeah, this has got that giant microphone on it. And I'll tell you what, I think it is really a good mic. It's Sonar's name on the thing, nobody else. I don't know who made them, whether maybe Sonar did, I don't know. If you have no idea of that. No, on his radio there, Chris Radio, he's got that meter on top. That's an add-on. Boy, I'd love to have that thing. So these radios have no meter whatsoever on the thing. There are 9 tube in the things, and it got 8 transmit crystal control channels, and then it's got a crystal control receiver. And it's just, a small radio, nothing overly important as far as, well, they're all important, but nothing over like big, anything on the front, like meters or anything like that. It's a mobile radio. I've got the bracket for the thing on the thing. So anyway, back to you.
It is a mobile radio, 12-volt DC. Is he showing the rack? Well, he's showing the microphone mounted on the side, and we have discussed the Sonar microphones before. You mentioned the really big, it's got the big element. And I had never heard this before, but apparently it is lovingly referred to as like a piece of toast. Does it remind you of breakfast? Does it make you want to have scrambled eggs and pancakes when you see that microphone? The size of a nice, good Wonder Bread piece of toaster. But it sounds good. Very loud, nice audio, as the Sonars often are and noted for. There's also something, the microphone, I guess a lot of the Sonars, the mics were interchangeable if you wanted to do it that way, but you certainly don't need any other microphonium. I don't know how the receive is, how it's picking me up compared to the Demco, but I hear you just fine. Over.
Yeah, I did get most of that, I'm sorry. Come back on that.
Okay, just curious if you can hear me okay compared to the Demco satellite, how the receive is on the Sonar. Over.
You know what? It's not really that bad. For that Demco has got real good receive. I mean, just super receive. Almost as good as the Browning, maybe better. I don't know. But no, this little radio is really, Sonar puts out a real nice radio. Nothing too fancy, just really everything you need, and it's small and handy and just perfect. Back to you.
37.
And Breaker acknowledged. Just perfect. And I'm going to scroll down, if I can find my video switch here, because we were talking about it, to the item that we're showing that you don't have, but that you'd like to have, and that's the Sonar matching signal strength meter, which is probably would work for a couple of their radios. I'm not sure exactly how it interfaced, if there was a jack or something or plug on the back that was ready to go, if it was something like the Hallicrafters where you had a plug inside that you had to connect to. But there it is. There's another one for the watch list to go with the sonar, making it complete. But you're hearing me, and I'm hearing you, and it sounds good. Radio number 3 in the Old Tube Radio Network tonight, the Sonar Model E. I want to say that's from 1964. I don't have an exact date on that, but still working strong here in 2019. Take another transmission, Paul, and I like how you're working tonight, where you go from the deluxe radio that sounds great to the standard-looking radio that sounds equally great. Over to you.
I don't have much room to put many big radios on here now, that big monster in the middle. Got 2 little ones. Well, I got one at the other end I'm going to check in if it'll function for me. Yeah, okay, well, thanks a million for checking in. And I do like these little radios, I really do. Thanks again. By the way, it's around approximately 1961, you're right. Thanks, Dennis.
Okay, I knew it was the early 60s, but I didn't have an exact date. We're talking about the radio you just heard from Paul's collection, the Sonar Model E. We have a breaking station. Stepping up to the air chair right now for Radio 4's SWL 42, and that's Jerry. We will go back into the large radio category when we chat with him here in just a moment at 9:19. And the other station, SWL 37. Hello, Chris. Hang out in the green room with the Jingle Singers, and we will catch you for radio number 5 in just a moment. So we've had a Demco, an E.F. Johnson, the Sonar Model E, back to the big transmitter receiver radios. This one's sounding great. Hello, Jerry.
Thank you, sir. Well, this is one that's always heard. Try to get them on every weekend from the Browning Laboratories. The Browning Golden Eagle Mark III base station sidebander. We won't drag it out too long because it's heard a lot, but we definitely like to put it on the air so everybody can hear it. And again, another kudos to Harvey, the godfather of tube radios, for bringing this back to life and definitely having us sounding better than we ever have with it. So that is what we have, is the Browning Mark III.
Mark III SSB, that would be the transmitter and receiver, both the same side. They did make an AM version of that without the sideband adaptations. That was, I think, price-wise about $200 less. These, I'm showing original price. You might have been able to get them in 1972 for about $650, but no doubt they would be more than that. And I suppose if you can find a pristine, rebuilt by Barkett's one today, you might be paying even more than that. The audio is just excellent. I know what it sounded like prior to the redux, the redo there, and it's perfect. It's crystal clear, it's sharp, it's loud, it sounds like a Browning should sound, and even at probably in my noise level, which it is not, it's way over that, I would hear you. If I wasn't getting a signal, I would still be getting the audio. Let you take another transmission, because this is the Old Tube Radio Network, where radios rule, and then we'll take Radio 5. But enjoy hearing the Browning Golden Eagle at about 20 over S9. Back to you.
Yeah, he's definitely got ping worked out in this too. Yeah, it's on a G-Bass non-amplified D104. I have the banana mic for it, but I've got to change an element in it and put an end on it. And next weekend I'll run that and see what that one sounds like. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with the performance of this, and with this G-Bass and this D104 head. I got lucky a while back, and I found it looked like new old stock. Never been used. I opened it up and checked it out, and it looks really clean. So, and it's one of the G-Bass has got the riveted tag on it, which those are hard to find. and then the head has the riveted tag on it. So I have that all complete, and this is definitely one dedicated for this radio because you can tell it doesn't need a amplified microphone. If it did have one on it, it would probably be way too much. But again, I appreciate you letting me bring it by, letting everyone hear it. It is definitely one that I do love, and as you had said, with the price being $650 back then, we put it on the inflation calculator and checked it, and I believe the radio would be now at $4,300, so it was a pricey item. Once again, on the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB old tube radio. Thank you.
And I guess it just goes to show you, top-of-the-line radio is always a top-of-the-line radio. That's what you pay now for the big industrial-size amateur radios that do everything. Thanks for Radio 4. Radio 5 is stepping up into the air chair. That's Chris, SWL37. But before we take a transmission, let me pick up the station. Who was the station, OTR listening?
SWL15.
We could do that. SWL15. I'm going to change the rack, or rather the controls over to the SWL page, where I can properly check in one of our true old tube radio celebrities back from the days when it really wasn't, the radios weren't that old, because it was like the new old tube radio network. But now it really is the old tube radio network. And I am checking you in, Fred. Over.
And we thank you.
From the big town of Easton, where they have, they don't put out sandbags in Easton. I'm not sure what they do. They have this inflatable. It's like if you've ever been to the bowling alley, and they put those little noodle things, cylindrical noodle things in the gutters, so that your ball won't go into the gutter. That's what they do in the big town of Easton. They have these noodles that they run along Lincoln Avenue, and then everybody is high and dry. Thanks, Fred, for checking in. Stepping up to the microphone now is Chris, who has our Radio 5, I do believe. Over.
Yeah, it's me. I would like to check in my general radio telephone, the Super MC11A 24-channel version with a handheld stock microphone. Holla.
You sure you don't have an amplified D104 that was turned all the way up?
Well, you've been here, you've seen it.
And instead of a 9-volt battery, you put in a 27-volt battery to get more audio?
I just plugged this in the wall.
Yeah, I heard the sizzle and the buzz when you did that. Switching the video to the beautiful downtown Burbank manufactured general radio telephone Super MC11A. Not sure if yours is like the one we're showing, but it has this nice green illuminated channel selector, assuming the light bulb is working, on channel 11, like yours is, I bet.
Absolutely, with the black lettering in it, or the numbering.
And then below that, the word Super MC11A. And what's below that? Oh, at 24 channels.
Yes, 24 channels. And don't forget the old man in the wheelchair up there to the right side of the channel.
The old man in the wheelchair is their logo. It took us a while to figure out what the heck that was, but that's a GRT for General Radio Telephone. And I believe if you have a Super MC11, you will not see that on there. So the Good Taste Committee, sometime in 1970, whenever, between the MC11 and the MC11A, decided that we would put a logo, that they would put a logo on it. I'm not sure if that was the only modification. There was probably some other things as well. Radio sounding good for our Radio 5. We'll go back to you for another transmission. Always good to hear that one.
It's still working. That's the best part about it.
And that is, we just want to reiterate, that is out-of-the-box, stock microphone. Breaker Broke 23, who is watching at the video, mentions that, like we all do, is like, how can that radio sound so good with just the stock microphone? And you've never done anything to that, right?
No, I haven't. Well, I know one of the resistors or something that went out one time, and Harvey replaced something in it. That was about it.
And there is an octal plug in the back that when it's inserted or plugged in correctly or jumpered correctly will put the rig into what I'll call it like a business band output rather than the 4 watts output. It may go up to 12 to 15. That could be perhaps if you were running the 24th channel, which would be the Civil Air Patrol, which was included with that. What it does, it will give you more signal, but we've tested them before, and it will drop the audio down a little bit as it's, I guess it's strapping that tube out that's in there, the ECLL 800. And they just don't sound as good with the radio strap, but they put out more power. So it just goes to show you, if you've got a nice sounding 4-watt DC output or 5-watt DC input doing the right thing, you can leave it alone, just like Chris does. Radio 5, give us another transmission. Always good to hear the Super MC11A from General Radio Telephone.
Hey, Dennis. Well, thank you for being there. I'm going to get out of here. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'm going to fire up another one here or not, but if I do, you'll hear it.
Yes, and there was a comment. It says, Chris sounds better on that than the Kenwood, and I agree. Actually, your Kenwood was... I think you had the audio turned up too high because it was distorted a little bit. But that radio, the audio is turned up high, but it's just loud. There is no distortion whatsoever. So a good deal. From the Kenwood to the Ken Weird. And the Jingle Singers, speaking of weird, let's go to the Jingle Singers.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
The station for you, OTR, in Central California, 27085, Channel 11 is where we are transmitting and listening. oldtuberadio.net, perhaps, or on the Google YouTube is where you might be listening or leaving us messages. I want to say, I want to check in X4000. I do see Brentwood, California on the big board, so X4000 is beaconing in. Sometimes he beams his signal up to the space station, the International Space Station, and then it drops down somewhere here in central Fresno, and I can see it coming through the bottom of the door here in the radio room. Looking for radio number 6.
All right, Dennis, is that too loud now?
45.
And 45 is there. Step up into the air chair, Paul. We'll be right with you. Take another transmission, Chris.
All right, no, I said, is that too loud now?
No, I think you're sounding good. Over.
All right, that's at 12 o'clock right there at number 5.
All right. Still, I see some forward movement on the meter. That's usually a good sign. And then if you need to get louder, you've probably got it set up so all you have to do would be to get closer to the microphone.
Absolutely, way back here and get way over here. There you go. All right, I'm back out.
All right. Microphone technique has a lot to do with this stuff. This radio stuff. Sometimes you don't need amplification and all that. You just have to know how to work the microphone the right way for the radio. Speaking of radio, Radio 6, I do believe that Mr. Paul up in the North Fork area, north and east of Fresno, up in the foothills, has found another radio for us. Hello, Paul. Over.
Yeah, Dennis. If this thing's transmitting, yeah, it is. I'm talking on an ICM Executive CTZ-50.
You know the radio must be good when it takes you a full 60 seconds to say what the model number is. So for ICM, International Crystal Manufacturer, we've got an executive, and what is the model number? It's a CTZ, and I missed the model number. Over.
ICM, International Crystal Manufacturer, Executive CTZ
Let's see if I can find one here. Well, one comes up. I'm going to show that one. This one is not, it doesn't say it's from your collection, and I don't think it is. This one looks like it was, dare I say it, this one looks like it's been out in a barn. There's a little bit of rust on the microphonium and the radio as well. And your radio definitely sounds better than the one I'm showing looks. Over.
I'm glad, because it sure isn't really pretty radio. Looks like it's been out in the barn for a year or two, maybe longer. Anyway, this is International Crystal, as it says on the thing, made in Oklahoma. They used to make crystals, and I wish they still did, but they don't make them anymore. Nobody makes them. Someday maybe somebody will come along and make some. I don't know. It's probably a big undertaking. And I'm running a stock International Crystal banana microphone on the thing, made by Electro Voice. And you got to get into it pretty heavy. I can't tell you what it's got in the element up there. I really don't know. I'd like to check it out sometime. This is one of Rob's radios. And thanks, Rob. I really enjoy it. Back to you, Dennis.
It's got nice loud audio. I'll bring up the S-meter next time you take a transmission, because we've got some forward movement on there with no problem whatsoever. And I'm showing on my chart that it is a 3-channel, so that would be your channel, your crystal control transmit. It looks like it could be a variable receive. It's not much to it, but it's got the knobs you need, on, off. I'm assuming there's a squelch or something in there. There's a front fired speaker. Looks kind of small, but you're hearing me okay. And then the appearance of some pilot lights to make sure that you are transmitting and or receiving. Give us another transmission. Also check the frequency as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I'm not too sure. After I hear the last one, I think this was on. I hope it is. I'm glad the other one was good. I was happy to see that the IMCO was on. Anyway, this got the banana microphone on the thing, and believe it or not, it hooks up from the back. So if you notice that picture in the book, that's what these microphones cables are look like. You got to stretch them all the way to the back to the front of the radio. I don't know what idea they had on that, but they must have had an idea. I don't know what it was. Anyway, enough of that, and thanks, Dennis, for checking it in.
Well, thanks for bringing it by. That's why we are here on the Old Tube Radio Network on Saturdays. Been doing this for 34 years to give the radios a chance to check in. You mentioned the state where that radio was manufactured. Do you recall where that was?
I missed that again.
You mentioned that International Crystal Manufacturing. You mentioned a state where it was manufactured. Over.
Well, that's the crystals for these radios and a lot of other radios and everything around in Oklahoma. You can remember those. I've still got some. I used to buy quite a few from them. I wish they were still doing it, but they don't. So here we are. We're looking for crystals all the time now. Back to you.
Yeah, okay, Oklahoma. That's what it was. I was thinking of Oklahoma. And Breaker Broke 23 listening in, watching into the video. Says he really likes the EV banana mics. And you can hear with no amplification and the radio being quite old, nice audio, and your frequency about 200 cycles low. So you're very close to being right where you're supposed to be. I was looking for my printout chart. I thought I had a printout. Oh, wait a minute. Is this it? No, a printout chart. He was wondering what the price of that radio was. I pulled up my information, and I don't have any information on this at all. On the original price. OBP. Thank you. Mod tube for the MC11A. Oh, that's for the mod tube. All right. I was going to say, I saw $79. I was thinking, no, this had to be more than that. So, doing a good job. Thanks for bringing it by. It's always like the lesser-known radios that just sound good out of the box. And, of course, the EV banana microphone doing its thing. Thanks, Paul, for your transmission on Radio 6. We are looking for Radio 7. Before we go there, let me head over to all the nice row of Heil microphones in Studio B, where the jingle singers are standing and ready to give us this announcement.
You're listening in the latest style at
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
And we are listening for Radio 7. There's somebody testing something out there. OTR is listening.
Yeah, it's me. You know what it was? I had my power mic on.
Oh, when you didn't need it?
Exactly. Now, see, right there is where I normally run it. And apparently, I turned the mic upside down. It was on.
Well, there you go. All right, so you have audio. You had audio before, but it was more than the radio could handle on the peaks. Occasionally, it would get a little distorted.
Yeah, because that power mic switch was on. I must have did something, picked it up, and hit the switch underneath.
Yes, indeed. And I'm sure if we took a poll, everyone would still think that the general radio telephone sounds a little bit louder than that. But now it does sound good, and there's no distortion, so you're back where you need to be on that one.
Absolutely. All right, I just thought I'd let you know.
And Ray, the banana mic is famous on Lost in Space. I have not paid enough attention. I know the Herman Munster thing and the Andy Griffith Show, ICO radio thing, but I'm not privy to the Lost in Space banana microphone thing, so I'll have to find the infamous picture, which is probably somewhere where it exists. OTR are standing by looking for Radio 7.
I saw a high gain banana microphone on eBay today.
Do you think it liked being called a banana microphone?
I'm sorry, I'm listening to you on this the YouTube. Say that again.
I said, do you think that high gain minded being called a banana microphone? Over.
Yeah, it was made by High Gain and silver, made in Japan.
Interesting. Also, Mr. KUH Brian says he's looking for a high gain. I'm not familiar with high gain 617 microphone. Maybe something for one of his older radios. Said he had one years ago, but can't quite seem to find them today. So maybe that could be an eBay thing. I was trying to see if I could search for a picture of one, but it keeps coming up with like SM48s and 58s, which I don't think is the same thing.
I just did a quick search for a picture microphone, and all I'm getting is those funny flat connectors.
Okay, I may have found a picture of one. I'll see if I can link it up. And I do believe we had a breaking station for OTR. Go ahead.
Thank you, Dennis. SWL37 here. We're going to check in my Courier Royale
23 channel tuber that glows in the dark with all the knobs, the blinking lights, and the hidden knobs. And we're running this here with an amplified D104 lollipop.
Okay, got the Courier online. I think I found the microphone. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Let's head over to the Courier of the Royale fame. And if I'm good with the mouse here, I might be able to get us a shot while you give us another transmission on the Courier. Over.
Yeah, I figured I'd sit in here as well to check it in. You sounded lonely out there, so had to do something. But you weren't totally lonely. Larry was talking to you.
There you go. Well, I'm not lonely now. We got our Radio 7 online. Doesn't like the picture very well, but there it is. Top of the line for Courier. As to their ad, there was about 2 other radios that Courier made at the time, but this was the one that they said was built for their chief financial executive officer. This is the one that they would make sure that would have every conceivable knob and dial and option for the executive, and there it is.
Yeah, and it's mine, and it's working.
Working well. The Courier Royale, 23 channels. There is a couple of lights on the front. Actually, there's 3 lights. Is one of those a modulation light? Which one blinks when you talk? Over.
The one over on the far right with the switch for PACD.
Okay, so that would be the one over above the switch. Then some other things, and I think there's a control. What's the control in the back? Is that for mic gain?
Yes, it is. You have mic gain, plus you have your tune and load back there also. But the mic gain is all the way over to the. Well, if you're looking at the front, it'd be on the right-hand side, on the right back, right behind the modulation light, back over there.
There you go. All right, and I do have some information on that. Thanks, Kevin. OTR Radio Tradio. I'm not good at phone numbers. Wouldn't that be something? Do a swap and sell radio. We have a service manual for the Courier Royale at oldtuberadio.com if it needs a service manual. Looks like it's in a PDF format. 11 tubes. 6 volt, 12 volt, not a 12AX7, huh? It's got good audio. Oh, it does have, that's right. This has the Collins mechanical, 6 kilohertz mechanical filter for your listening pleasure. Over.
Yeah, well, I'm listening.
All right. You are listening well if you hear the likes of my peanut whistle station. Got you checked in. Radio 7, Courier Royale. Top of the line from Courier. Will do 12-volt DC with the proper cable, but of course you're running the 117-volt AC part of it. That's a good thing. Find out more if you've got a Sam's CB14, or just stay tuned to the Old Tube Radio Network every Saturday from 8 to 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, soon to be daylight time, and you will hear many radios like this. Back to you for transmission. Thanks for bringing it by.
No, Dennis. Well, I got one warming up, so I'll be back.
All right, and we'll be glad to get you. I'm going to go back, since we were talking about the microphones. I'm going to punch up, if I find the picture again, there it is. That is the high gain 617. And according to Breaker Broke 23, they call them a stick mic. I would agree with that. Looks almost like something that, the announcer on some game show would have. They always have those very slim style microphones. Look like it might have a push-to-talk switch. Seems like it would have a good frequency response. I don't know if that would have a low-end response. It would have a good mid-range and high-end frequency response there. So I can see why. I've never come across one of those, so maybe that's why they are cool, but perhaps unobtainable. The Old Tube Radio Network. We are listening for radio number 8.
Can I be number 8?
You could be number 8 if I find the pen to mark you in. Go ahead, sir.
SWL 37 here. We're going to check in our G PowerMate, the Gem Marine products, 23 channel glows in the dark. Run this here with the amplified D104 also, and this is the Pretty Blue radio. Sure.
Pretty Blue, I have a shot of that. I do believe that it is actually from your collection. Or I think perhaps it might have been from 44's collection originally, but now residing at your QTH. This is one of the Panasonic clones, I think, that matches like the Robin T123B and some others with possible plate modulation, so they always sound good. Take a transmission on Radio 8.
Well, you know, he said we're getting too cold for the radios up there. He wanted down here in a warmer spot.
Well, it's possible that it's snowing up there right now, so anything that glows in the dark helps, I think, even if it's not right in the Radio Shack.
Yeah, I think snow level's supposed to be down like 3,000 feet this evening.
Well, here in the Central Valley, but out in Utah where 44 is, it's probably... The little snowflakes are probably dusting the ATS 120. Give us another transmission before you go on the Jim Marine Products G Power Mate, our radio number 8 at 947.
Okay. Well, you know, we need him to go outside without a hat on and come back in. Let us know if his head got wet and cold.
Well, I'm not going to ask that. OTR does not want to be responsible for anything of that nature. Your radio sounds great on the Power Mate. Thanks, sir.
All right, Dennis, thank you. I'll be back with another.
The Jingle Singers are saying it is time. It is time for yet another magical moment.
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic.
Old Tube Radio.
For you.
Radio's for you. Looking for radio number 9? It looks like a 60s British game show. My hand mic. Where's Graham Kerr? Where's the Galbing Gourmet when we need it? And speaking of British game shows, we have not had any sightings from our Sheriff of Nottingham, from Big Ben. So maybe the time switch will help us out. And BB, if you're listening or watching on the replay here, set your clock back a little bit so you can catch us here in the States on the Old Tube Radio Network, where it is, 5 in the morning, where they are. Looking for radio number 9.
37.
Hello, Chris. Over.
And under. I'm right here. Over, under, I'm still here. Anyway, Dennis, I want to check in this other radio of mine. I want to check in my Chris 23 Plus CB transceiver. 23 channel tuber that glows in the dark, and we are running this here with the original handheld microphone. Over.
Handheld audio, always a plus here on the Old Tube Radio Network. I'm seeing if I can find a shot of that radio before you go, and for some reason it is eluding me. I really thought we had something like that. Well, take a transmission. Even if we can't see it, we can certainly hear it.
Yeah, it definitely works. I can see the blinking light right in the middle. It says MOD, M-O-D, or mode, M-O-D, whichever. Anyway, it's blinking, the needle's swinging, moving a little bit up here, the meter's moving up there. It's working.
It is working, and this is a good radio to key in after the Jim Marine products. I think this is another Panasonic clone that, if you looked at the internal workings, probably looks a lot like the Jim Marine or the Robin T123B, again, the Panasonic 23 synthesized channel AM plate modulated clone that runs 11 tubes. I see that we have an operator's manual for this, the Chris 23 Plus at oldtuberadio.com. Give us another transmission.
Okay, yeah, you know, and actually if you look at them side by side, the knobs are in the same spot. The meter's in the same spot. The S meter is, you know, the switch for signal strength and RF, that's in the same spot. The channel selector's in the same spot. The only thing that's in a different spot is the mic plug. That's right below the modulation light. So, and then over there where the PACB switch is underneath that, there you have a plug for headphones.
Headphoniums are good, especially when you're doing net control. It keeps all the interference away, and I can focus on what people are saying. If I didn't say it, we do have an operator's manual for this as well on Old Tube Radio. I guess it's the same operator's manual, right? Probably the same thing as all the rest of them, but we've got the operator's manual, not a service manual. 12-volt DC if you want, if you've got the right cord, right plug in the back, 17 pounds. Don't believe it has a handle, probably not all that portable, and it does use a 12AX7 in the audio. That's why it sounds so good. Radio number 9 at 951 from KRIS. No, I should say from CHRIS, the KRIS. Back to you.
Absolutely. And you know, I was looking here also, and also the casing is identical. The vents, everything, all the little screw holes, stuff is the same. And it has like a little tray that sits underneath of it. I guess if you wanted to, you could take it and set it up on top of it. So you could mount this for AC or DC. You know, have it mounted in your big truck or your motorhome as you're driving down the road. You know, on your good vacation to Wally World or wherever, you know, wherever the Griswolds were going. You know, you could do all that kind of stuff with these things. You know, it's kind of nice. Of course, you got to have an extra plug to plug in to make it up wire right for the battery.
Yeah, you got to do that. Switch to the S meters and give yourself a radio report if you watch the video. S9 modulates up to 5/9, and it does sound good. Thanks for the words I view. And that is, it's not the GTX 5000 was the 40 channel, so that's probably the GTX 2300 as well. It's that same chassis. Like the 5000 probably. There's added the 40 channel synthesizer, but all good sounding radios. They came up with, Panasonic really came up with a nice chassis for that, and it worked well. It carried us into the solid state mode of operation. Thanks for radio number 9 tonight, Chris.
All right, Dennis, thank you. That was it for me. I have no more to check in. Oh, by the way, you want to check in that Helicopters model CB3A?
Yeah, where is it? Let's feature. I went back to and I was supposed to record myself or something, which I haven't done. But I've gone back to the control room here, and we go back to the Bozo control up there. If you can see behind me, there is the radio to which Chris is referring, the Helicopter CB3A, which hasn't checked in, I guess, in a while officially here on the net, but it has been on the air. But let me thump it. Can you hear that? It's really there. Over.
Absolutely.
And OTR is listening.
Number 20.
And as the ping slowly fades into the sunset, which has faded long ago. Hello, 20.
Yeah, this is the same receiver from last week, the R2700A, and then the transmitter, the Golden Eagle with the spot. I noticed that the ping was going away last week. It would just go ping after it had been on for about an hour. So I had to do a little bit more work on it, and make a long story short, I finally figured out what was wrong with it. I almost put it away and had decided to just leave it alone and use it that way, but I ended up having to leave it out, and because of that I did a little research and a little check, and I found had a capacitor, not the ceramic type, but one of those big long 0.1 caps, and it was 0.4, so I thought, probably didn't make any difference, but that's what it was. I changed it, and now I can leave this thing on all day, and ping stays.
Well, that's some good Sherlocking. I would never thought that could happen. And that's pretty disconcerting. When you come back after lunch. Oops, why did the audio get so loud? Sorry about that. Let me make an adjustment here. You'd come back after lunch and your ping would be gone. That would not be good. But you figured it out with the capacitor, R2700A. What is the transmitter? Is it the T68 is the transmitter?
It's the T68 with the spotlight on the front, not the on-air. I picked that up about 2-3 weeks ago and got it going and kind of changed the relay and I think one or two other things. I picked it up because it wasn't that expensive and it's not in the best shape that I would like cosmetically on the front, but it had 4 gold knobs on there that somebody put. I have extra plastic knobs, so I'm going to put them on there because that's what's supposed to be on. But now I've got a couple extra gold knobs. Anyway, the T68 with the spot.
All right, I was frozen in time when I was watching the video, and I'm back live here now. I was trying to find if I had a shot just of the T68 transmitter by itself, and I did not. So we'll go with the audio. Nice and smooth. Audio is good. The ping is nice and mellow. It's elongated, but it's not a harsh, brassy sound. It's very, very melodical tone. So you've picked the right capacitor, I guess.
Actually, it's probably a little bit too long. So, but anyway, I'm leaving it in and going to box this one up, and then I'll be looking for an S9 or a 23S9 transmitter to mate with it, and then I don't know, I may keep this one or not. I'm fortunate to have several of these, and I'm probably going to keep this one and sell one of the others. So with a transmitter with it, either an S9 or a 23S9, but I'm not sure yet. So one of them. So in the next month or so, I'll probably do that, kind of pare things down a little bit. Okay, I'll turn it back to you. It's about that time.
Getting close to that time, I was going to give us a few extra minutes here since I had to take a telephone break in the middle, but that's okay. Radio 10, we'd made our double-digit radios tonight. The Browning R2700A is the receive side paired with the T68. I think I asked you this last week, but I'll ask it again for anybody that's a Browning fan or wondering about that. Do you have to do anything special on the matching between the older 2700A receiver with the T68? You told me, and I don't have one of those Browning brains, so tell me again if you have to do something special to get those two to mesh up.
Well, just gotta watch the cable that you hook up in between them. Has to be the, I think, 3 or 4 wire cable. It's got to be hooked up the right pins, etc. The the S23 transmitter on down. No wait, the Golden Eagle transmitter on down. Golden Eagle S23, 23, S9, S9, the compact, depending on, the compact transmitter and the G2 transmitter, as long as it has the, 23 S9
power supply in it. You can match up with let's see, R27 receiver on down. There you go. Anything above that, you better be careful because the wiring is different in the plug, and you have to go in there and change things around because the on-air light is in the receiver, on the receiver above the Golden Eagle. And because of that, the interconnecting cable is slightly different because you have to have the voltage and for the on-air light, and it takes two wires, and neither of them can be ground. So that's the way they kind of run things there. So it gets a little complicated. You can't just slap them together like that. Anyway, the transmitters, the receivers, R2700 and the R2700A have wiring in the back socket so that you can power a transmitter with it. So that's what you have to watch out for.
All right, good information. So you do want to be careful so that you do, what do they say, don't let the smoke at the wrong time. Radio number 10, that's Harvey doing the experimentation with the Browning R2700A receiver paired with the T68, a little bit of tweaking and peaking and fixing, and it sounds pretty good. So this is what, week 3? So it sounds like you're ready to put this one on the shelf and continue on with others. So we are glad that we were able to help out, and you can listen in to the archives, I guess, for the last 3 weeks. The audio archives are always up, and then the videos stay on for a while. So give yourself a radio check. Over.
Okay. Yeah, I'm happy with this. Okay, yeah, I'm going to get it off the bench. I have 2 others that I need to work on and get them done. So, and they're not mine, so I need to really get to them. Okay, we appreciate it, Dennis. We'll catch you next week.
Likewise, the Old Tube Radio Network. Getting ready to count them out, but if you're thinking about firing up a radio, if you've got one warmed up, we'll be on here for a couple more minutes. To do that, over to Studio B, the Jingle Singers.
Let's do some spelling.
OTR. 27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio. Old Tube Radio.
I know a lot of you still out there listening to us tonight. It's at least here in California, it's one of those nights where we set the clocks ahead, so we're all going to lose an hour of sleep. So I don't want to stay on too late, but I know a lot of you have gotten and checked in. Still a lot of people listening. Washington is out there, Maryland, staying up late with us tonight, New York, Utah, Texas, Ohio. And hello, 357 on the video side, waving a hand. Thanks for remembering the Old Tube Radio Network. And also 390. Oh, okay. Everybody's waving a hand. I'll wave a hand. That's my hand. That's waving. And Ray reminds us that getting the smoke out is easy. Getting it to go back in ain't so easy. We'll be standing by here, see if we can get Radio 11 before we sign out tonight.
I wanted to jump in there real quick and see, I don't know if Harvey's still listening, but I know he wanted to take a listen to this if he was able to catch me out there. He's right in my noise level, so I can hear him, but I can't make out what he's saying. But if, Dennis, if you can pass a 5 there, if he comes back, I wanted to let him know that I'm out here, and this is his handiwork, so I hope that he can hear me. My antenna's still low because of the winds and all that we get on and off, but next week I'll have it up. So Harvey, if you're out there, this is what it sounds like on the non-amplified G-Bass D104.
Harvey, are you still listening? Over. All right, well, he didn't come back, so I don't know if he was changing coaxes. He often listens in on his universal media device, so perhaps he heard you there, but I think he would be extremely pleased with what he would be hearing.
Yeah, I'm still here. I just changed channels, testing right. Yeah, I'm on the same radio. I think that was Jerry, but I have trouble hearing him where I'm located. What did he say?
He was applauding your great efforts in creating the new sound, actually the sound of his Browning Golden Eagle Mark III, which is very excellent, just great audio, just the way it should sound on the Browning, and giving a transmission so that you could hear it. He did say his antenna is quite low because of the wind and things going on, so he was having trouble hearing you as well. But basically, he was taking a transmission to let you know it's all A-OK on the Browning. Over.
Oh, yeah. I can hear the ping. Again, for the audio, I can't pick out what he's saying, but that's all right. The main thing is I just wanted him to get a listen to it. I can tell him right now this thing is dead keying 3 and swinging to 8. It's got really good forward swing on it. So once again, Harvey, appreciate it. But I wanted to let you get a listen to it so you can hear what your handiwork has done. All right, Dennis, I'll get out of here so you can close it up, and thanks again. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks. Sounding good on the Browning, Jerry. And I know if Harvey's antenna was a little bit higher and yours is a little bit higher, we would have no problems hearing that. And hello, Harvey. I know you were transmitting. There was a bit of a double transmission, but tell me what you said again. Over.
Well, that I appreciate you mentioning that it sounds good, that I worked on it. I'm happy to do it. Glad that it sounds good and happy with it. And that I have another one of his that I will be getting
Okay. Yeah, he mentioned he has another one of your radios that he's going to work on. Before you go, Harvey, did you change radios? Because your audio is probably way less than 50% modulated at the moment.
Yeah. This is an unamp P104 that I put on it. And I had an amplified P104, but I can't reach the transmitter to turn the gain up. But this is just an unamp P104.
Okay, that's better. I think you moved a little bit closer to the microphonium, and I do see some forward movement on the meter. So with your signal strength, you're probably good right there. And you mentioned it's unamplified, so it probably doesn't need amplification. It just needs the Harvey Range Boost B, which is when Harvey gets closer to the microphone. Sounding good. All right, well, again, thanks for, and I'll echo what Jerry was saying, thanks for what you do, because a lot of the radios that we listen to throughout our old tube radio network on the air here are on the air because you take your time to keep them that way, and we all appreciate it. Those of us who don't even have the radios are benefiting from your handiwork as well, as we get to listen in across the USA and beyond. So thanks again. And I will say I'm going to stand by and see if we can get any more radios checking in before we sign out. We're looking for Radio 11. And Brian, just saw your post about getting the new switches and coax. That's right. It was either a near miss or direct hit on Lightning. I think you mentioned a couple of weeks ago. So good to see that you are getting things back together and straightened out there. They keep the loops up. Not sure. I have was it W7FG, the doublet, the 600 ohm ladder line doublet that has arrived. So in the next 10 years, I will be hopefully getting that up in the air properly. That'll be my first true ladder line antenna. And I think I have a way to run it into the shack here. So I'm hoping to be up on the HF side here this summer. And hopefully that will allow me to talk to some of all of you in the far-off lands, in 9 land, in 0 land, in 7 land, on one of those frequencies that might work. We may be a little bit too early for 10 meters and 15 meters, but maybe 20 meters or something. So I look forward to that, maybe getting the doublet up in the air, and we'll see what happens. Everybody working on their good time to work right now in spring, as weather may be starting to get warm, to get all our antennas up where they should be. And maybe we'll be able to do some chatting, not on Saturday evenings, but when conditions permit on some of the amateur radio bands. The Jingle Singers doing what they do before we sign off here.
You're tuned to
OTR, Channel 11,
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us.
Old Tube Radio.
And be modern.
Counting and amounting back in a moment.
Dennis?
This is the basic Dennis, over.
Now, okay. This is the original Golden Eagle R68 T68, the usual one.
The usual fare. I was wondering if we could get a Radio 11, and I plumb forgot that you had not fired up Old Faithful. Is that, I don't know if you call it Old Faithful or not, but I sure do, because it always seems to make it in just as I'm doing the counting and amounting. So give us another transmission or two, and I will look for some type of picture telling people what it is you're doing.
Roger. Now, this transmitter works a lot better than the other one. I may work on that one, I may not. This one should have some forward swing, and it's got the unamped D104 on it that you just heard on the other radio. But anyway, this transmitter is the on-air transmitter, and it's mated with a Golden Eagle receiver with the 3-position RF gain switch, normal, distance, and local switch. I do have the other receiver, but I don't have it hooked up right now. And I'm not sure what I'm going to put with what as far as transmitter and receiver. I'm going to do a little research and see if I can figure out the way they actually kind of sold them. And then I'll try and do something like that. But anyway, this is the R68 T68 from Browning, Browning Lavatories with the custom D104.
Custom D104 sounding good on your custom Browning. I have a picture from an advertisement. The Golden Eagle, the original Golden Eagle, before the Mark II and the Mark III, the Mark I, or as SWL 84 says, the Mark None. A little glitching in the video. I don't know why that's there. When did this grace the airwaves? 1967, 1968, $395. That was the price, I think, of the Demco that we had earlier that showed up in 1966 or 67. So this was still fairly competitive price-wise. And this is the Series 2, I believe you told us. It sounds good. It pairs up with anything. It's like a fine wine. It'll it'll pair up with most anything. Back to you.
Roger. I gotta get used to the short pain. Okay. It's more than that time, so I'll turn it back to you. Catch you next week.
All right. Thank you, sir. And a lot of our stations also saying 73 and signing tonight as we are. So let me go to the Studio B so we can get out of here, too.
Ladies and gentlemen, time now for the current OTR totals.
Because this is a set your clock ahead. Thank you. Where we will be losing an hour of whatever it is that we do. Whatever is that you do all night, you'll be doing an hour less of it. In the SWL department, we had a total of 53. Not bad tonight for the 9th of March, 2019. We had 12 check-ins on page 1, 15 on page 2, 13 on page 3, and 13 on page 4. We are halfway through this 8-week roster on the 9th day of March, 2019. Radios, we had 11 tonight. And the most heard manufacturer, thanks to a big run in the last half hour there by the Brownings, was the Browning Laboratories. But we had some interesting stuff, as always, tonight from our radio operators. And that's a good thing. That's why we've been doing this for 34 years, because it's always fun and interesting to see what happens. And what happened was tonight, our first radio was the Demco satellite base station with its own spot in the radio room of Hall up there in North Fork. Just a beautiful radio. And also a bell ringer. Got the bell ringing tonight from SWL 21. Louis came in with the E.F. Johnson Messenger 223 for Radio 2. The Sonar, for you Sonar fans, the Model E, Model Echo tonight for Radio 3. The Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. Peaked and tweaked by the gentleman you just heard moments ago, SWL 20, Harvey, and sounding very nice. I think that one's going to be a player for the next 20 years or 30 years on the old Tube Radio Network here tonight. Thanks, Jerry, for that. Chris was feeling good tonight and working the radio room. Gave us his he gave us his General Radio Telephone Super MC11A for radio number 5. And then one we don't hear a lot of, company, the International Crystal Manufacturing, ICM, the CTZ-50. Have to get a better picture of that. Maybe see if we can get the real deal. But thanks, Paul, for giving us Radio 6 tonight. Radio 7 was Chris on the Courier Royale. Radio 8 was Chris on his Gemarine Products G PowerMate. He followed that with the Chris 23 Plus for Radio 9. And Radio 10 was the Browning R2700A paired with the Test T68 transmitter with its incredibly long but mellow ping. I think I could listen to that probably and not get a headache with the headphones. The next radio, Radio 11, the Browning Golden Eagle R68 260, that one has a nice, healthy ping. Might have trouble doing a 2-hour conversation with that one, but at least it isn't as long. 11 radios tonight. Thanks for all those who checked in with us tonight. Over on the video side, good night to all of you from New York to California. Hello to Jackson, Ohio, and Hagerstown, Maryland, also tuning in. Dallas, Texas tonight. San Francisco. Don't know who's in San Francisco, but we're a little bit shy of the ground wave and too close for the skywave, so glad you tuned us in at old@tuberadio.net. A reminder that we will have the archives up for your listening pleasure at oldtuberadio.net, and the video will be up for a while on YouTube. I'll keep this one up. That's the fun one at the beginning. Check out the beginning of the net here where I was searching for the mystery audio loop. I think, and I'm not even in Area 51, but I did find the problem, and we were able to continue nonstop with your radio. 73, everybody. If you are on the West Coast, or at least in California, you are supposed to be setting your clocks ahead 1 hour. And I will do that. And we'll catch you next time. That means the Nixon tubes will be running properly next week. They won't kick out an hour early for us. Good night, everybody. Your old Tube Radio Network, 73. We'll catch you next time.
Once again, Dennis, thanks for what you do, because we wouldn't have it without you. Take care.
Well, a great job, Dennis.
Oh, and that's right. Ray reminds me of the Equilink. I did not. Did I have it up? No, I didn't even turn it on tonight. I think, what happened is I got so involved in trying to find out what the audio loop was, it kind of went out of my brain to bring up the Equilink. So I'll maybe put a post-it up to do that next week. Again, I'm looking to do something where they have the little conversation or the special modes for that. What I'd like to do is set up a separate radio away so that if somebody came into the link via the Equilink, they would dial into the link, and then it would be on a two-way radio here in town, and that would give some of our listeners a chance to actually talk with the stations dialing into the Equilink, coming into the Equilink from far off, and then give us the option to bring in the audio. So that would be the preferred way to do it. It might take me a little time and some finagling to do that, but I think that would be a good way to go. So we'd be able to have some of our stations chatting here with the local operators as well. Good night, everybody.
Good night, OTR.
And the video is still working, but not for long. Catch you later.